This Thursday, what I'm going to try and do is make life sweeter for chocolate makers along with you. How does that sound?
I like it dark.
You like it dark. Okay, okay. So here's where we begin to agree to disagree. But what we thought we can agree on is to explore the chocolate sector. I mean, especially the emerging chocolate sector in India, and look at what's going on over there, and look at if storytelling can help build up their brands dramatically.
Yeah.
Because I think that any sort of emerging sector like this chocolate sector is going to focus a lot on their origin story, their all the goodness that chocolate probably has, and stuff like that. But is it really clicking? So what we'll do, I thought we can do is just explore what they're doing well, and perhaps also explore what they're doing right and wrong, and stuff like that, and maybe just figure out a few intelligent ways in which it can become better. So
Right.
but before I go into more gobbledygook, why don't you set us the context for the chocolate sector,
Yeah.
and some of the players over there?
Right. So let's just take one step back and establish that till date, India has been more of a mass chocolate production. You've seen your Nestle is there, your Cadbury has been leading the market segment. Now, since the last 2 to 3 years, especially after COVID, once the talk started about your ingredients, your nutrients, your purity of chocolate, or purity of any consumable item. So the Indian craft chocolate has been growing. So this segment is poised to grow at a CAGR of around 12%. Last year, the annual revenue was around 313 million US dollars, and by 2029, it is poised to grow till 481, and then by 2033, it's poised to grow by 660 million dollars.
Okay.
So you are seeing a jump every few years, right? But here's the caveat: till date, India is still owning up to only 1% in the global premium chocolate share. We have chocolates from Brazil and Swiss chocolates. We have brands like Lindt who are taking up the shelf. Now the Indian premium chocolates that are coming at a similar price rate, like 400 to 500 segment, which is the similar rate as you get Lindt on a Blinkit or Amazon or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is where the question comes in about the current players in this segment, and Andhra Pradesh is leading the entire leading this market because of the kind of crops there is, the soil there is. It is very conducive. The environment is very conducive for chocolate production. So it's Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala that are leading, and some of the big players are Manam chocolate from Hyderabad, then Pascati, Paul and Mike, Mason and Company, Suklet. So these are the companies that are setting the benchmark for tomorrow's premium Indian chocolate segment.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting that you say that. And I was wondering, like, you shared some of these links with me and their Instagram handles in order for us to prepare for this specific episode that we are putting up. And the first question that I came out with was, okay, what is the persona that they're targeting? So, what do you think? What do you think is their persona?
Yeah, and I think this is the biggest gap that none of these companies are addressing. If you look at their Instagram handles, the kind of marketing these people are doing, they are targeting anybody and everybody, right? They are just maybe playing on the price points. They are playing on the love for the chocolate. There are talks about terroirs and post harvest stations and fermentations, etc. So they are talking about the processes, the operations that goes behind it, the commissions that the farmers are getting, which were 6% in the mass production chocolates, but are now 20 to 30% in the in the premium segment chocolates, right? But none of them are making a persona of the target consumer, that they should speak to. And this is where I think uh, this is where you can draw a parallel with the kind of market that a wine segment or a tequila segment or
Okay.
any craft alcohol segment comes in. Like you were saying, it's a snob culture.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of code that actually a snobbish chocolate person would go for. So for example, me, I really don't like Cadbury's because it's too milky for me. Right? But if a company is positioning itself as, you know, something that feels really good to my taste buds, or something that is very that, you know, I would like to preserve in my fridge and just use it for very special occasions, I would definitely buy that even if it costs 1,000 rupees.
Mm. Mm. No, I was just like, okay, so if I have to build their persona, yes, you're right, by the way. If I look at their current communication, it looks as if they've got all the ingredients for the communication there, right? But the chocolate isn't happening. Like, for example, if I look at it, they've got an origin story, all the fermentation and all of those processes that you know I went through. I know too much about chocolate now. I don't think I can eat a bar of chocolate now. But on the other hand, if I look at all of that, they've got the story. They've also got probably a very good product, although I haven't tried any of these products. I'm sure that they're good, and I'm sure that they're distinctive. So I'm not really complaining about, you know, what their product is, but they're very provider centric in the way in which they're communicating. So if I
Yeah.
look at, so it's about, and I think it's about how we are doing and how what we are, you know, good at. And while that is good, it does create some sort of let's say inquisitiveness. It still falls flat if you're not talking to the right persona. So
Exactly.
my first question would be like, okay, I'm from Andhra Pradesh, or I'm a player from Andhra Pradesh or Tamil Nadu or Kerala or whatever. So let's take Andhra Pradesh, let's take Manam, right? That's how you pronounce it. Okay, so
Yeah.
if it's Manam, and so what, who's my persona, right? Are these people who are outside of Andhra? Are these people in the north of India?
Yeah.
Are these people outside of India? Are they from the Middle East? Are they from the Western markets? Which exact Western markets? And then you not just geographically, but okay, who are we talking to? Are we talking to a woman who is in her 30s, who wants to, you know, indulge herself in the middle of a week, which is like going terribly wrong for her?
Yeah.
Is she just trying to make sure that you know, she uh, stays on a diet? Who is she?
Correct.
Does she have alcohol with her chocolate? What is happening? So I would like to know more, because the more I paint this persona, I will be able to then look at how do I actually craft a narrative for her rather than for myself.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, if you look at Manam's Instagram page, for example, right, it's all about the different kind of recipes that you can do with chocolate,
Yes.
the stylization that you can make a mango smoothie with, or some kind of praline cake with, or etc. etc. Now, my first question when I saw Manam's Instagram page without before I read their origin story was, I get that it's beautiful, and I'm really loving the colors that you are showcasing of the Manam chocolate. But my question is, why would I use a Manam chocolate for this? Or why would I use a chocolate for this? Why would I just not melt a Cadbury and make that beautiful mango thingy that you are making? Right? And why are you speaking to, who are you speaking to?
Yeah.
Right? Which moment are you capturing? Which emotion are you trying to bring out in a customer that would make them you know, buy, specifically go to Amazon and buy this chocolate? Because here is a, you know, here is a pain point. These craft chocolates, they are not mass produced, so they are not something that you get on a Blinkit or a Swiggy Instamart or a Zepto. So you can't play on the shelf imagery over here. You need people, especially going on an Amazon, just to purchase you know, a Manam chocolate, or they need to go visit the Almond House eatery specifically purchase the Manam chocolate, or they need to, you know, go to Delhi to so Manam is opening their Delhi branch now, which caters to their 40% of sales. So why would I specifically go to a Manam store just to buy your chocolate? What is in it for me? What emotion are you capturing for me?
It seems to me that the decision towards going to a particular market, maybe that talks about the fact that they've done some work on the persona, or it might also be very provider centric. Oh, okay, I've got somebody I know, I trust, who can open up a you know, Manam shop in Delhi. So I really don't know how the
Yeah,
people.
and it's also because Delhi has always been more you know, welcoming to the foreign brands. or do different kinds of brands. Whenever you say premium or whenever you say luxury, Delhi is one geography that would always, flock towards it. So
Right.
I will not suggest using Delhi as your benchmark of growth.
Okay. So again, so there are so many things that come to my mind. But if I'm actually looking at a problem like this or an opportunity like this,
Yeah.
the way in which I would look at it is, okay, you've got some really cool people doing your photographs and doing your visuals and also looking at your videos and stuff like that. However, it's not sticking to
Yeah.
one specific persona, and not so that's how I would start things. I would look at who are your one or two or three personas that you want to look at. Then I would try to figure out where is chocolate in their lives. And then the
Yeah.
second thing is, where is snobbery in their lives, where is luxury in their lives. So there are some associated things that I would look into. Then I would say, okay, so if I say that I am from Andhra or Tamil Nadu or Kerala, what is the difference between this chocolate and maybe a Lint or whatever else you're competing with? You're not competing with a Cadbury or an Amul or whatever. You're competing with something which is specific. You don't have a distribution channel, which means that your communication has to be absolutely spot on towards creating that demand. You have to look at your early adopters and innovators. So there are so many thoughts that come to my mind when it comes to this persona, and I don't think that they're being addressed effectively at the moment.
Absolutely. Whether you see it through their visual storytelling, whether you see it through their packaging or their distribution channel, or uh, I mean, look at the packaging, for example. If you go back to your origin story, why do we always associate wine with France, even though you have an Italian wine, you have a South African wine, etc., etc. But whenever you say wine, the image you get in your mind is holding a wine glass, having a sparkling wine, and watching a Mona Lisa or Van Gogh in the Louvre, right? Why is this image coming into it? Because wine has associated itself with the kind of artistic affluence that
Yeah,
only those
see
people
what you
who. Exactly. Right. So where are you positioning your chocolate in? Are you connecting it to the India chocolate growth story? If
mean.
you
Yeah.
are, then why is your packaging not reflecting it? Now, for example, a very, very small instance. Manam is using the Anik typeface,
Hmm.
which has Latin roots, right? So there itself is a big break. Why are you not using the Brahmi script if you
Yeah.
want to go to the
Yeah,
Indian?
no, I see what you mean, and so therefore it's a bit of a, let's say their positioning is a little confused, but nothing that a little storytelling can't help. Now, when
Exactly.
a player like Manam or anybody else in this market has to look at storytelling, it has to look at effective storytelling rather than just storytelling for the sake of storytelling. And storytelling is never about you; it's about the person you're trying to communicate the story to, and win over to your side. So then, how can I make this story sexier? Right. So I think that it's really critical, because even the position, why is positioning confused? Because your story is not correct in your head. Right. So if I look at, am I an Indian brand trying to market to foreign brands, or am I a Hyderabadi brand trying to market to foreign brands, or am I a Hyderabadi brand trying to market to Delhi? What exactly am I doing
What
right
am I
over
trying?
here? What am I
Yeah.
trying to achieve? What's the business goal here, and how can the story actually help support the business goal? Here's
Yeah.
another thing that I thought of. If I have to look at where the second, I said I have two things to say. The first thing is about the persona and the way in which it flows. The second is about the way in which a narrative is communicated. A lot of people actually have a lot of these thoughts, and I would say Manam or anybody else may have these thoughts in their head. I don't know their heads, right? So may have these thoughts in their heads, but the way in which they're communicating is failing them,
Hmm.
right? So a lot of people don't pay attention to the format of the narrative, the format of the story, that needs to be absolutely bang in place in order for them to leverage the platform that they're on. So for example, if I see Instagram, while it looks nice, it is not emotionally connecting to me. And that's the failure of not actually having a format that's working to build whatever narrative that you're doing. So I would say, Manam and anybody else, you need to combine these two pieces of what we're talking about in order for you to actually make your story as sweet as your chocolate, or maybe as dark as your chocolate, if Janavi wants to.
Yeah, and I think this is where finding your tribe comes into the picture. Uh,
Mm.
right? It's not just a persona. You're not just, you're not just saying, okay, I have this persona that I want to target to, and then you get them as influencers, etc., etc., whatever the playbook, that the
The
Cadbury
normal
playbook,
playbook.
that
Yeah,
we
yeah,
like, the old forgotten and
yeah.
tired old playbook, right? It's more about what kind of community, what kind of emotional tribe are you creating around yourself? Why would people flock towards a Manam as opposed to a Pearl and Mike? What is Manam bringing to the table? What emotion, what is making me fall in love with Manam, and who are the people along with me that I can look up to and get that social validation? Okay, this is the kind of people who love Manan, and therefore I should too.
I think that's a very interesting and important point, because if you look at community building, right, there are weak communities and strong communities
Yeah.
for each sort of product category. And what I think is really critical is for us, as people who are advising any chocolate maker, is to find the right community that is going to be sexy itself. So in the sense that if they are the ones who are aspirational for other people and communities, that's the community you need to build or either go for if it already exists, rather than just go and build any kind of community of chocolate lovers or something like that. It has to be slightly more than that.
Right, right. And this is where, concepts like the cultural coding or semiotics or digital ethnography and all of this comes into the picture. You have to find out the subconscious level of the consumer who will become your tribe, who will become your brand advocate. So you would go to their friends and say, have you
Yeah,
tried a
i
Manan
would i
chocolate?
would literally
Right.
here's a free piece of consulting advice for you, Manam, and whoever else. Take a charcuterie board. Okay, don't put anything else in it except your chocolate. Okay, and then say what other pieces fit into that board. Okay, what other pieces, because that will represent actually what you're communicating to a community like that, right? Because
Yeah.
what you're communicating is a lifestyle, and what you're communicating is a mood. What you're communicating is a feel, and a cultural aspect of your chocolate. I
Yeah.
think probably that's what we can do, right? If you
Yeah.
want more Manam and anybody else, please get in touch with us. We'd love
Yeah.
to help you. We'd love to
Yeah.
help you. Sorry for all the criticism. I'm sure it's all there in your head. is all I'm
Chocolates
saying.
are nice, by the way. I really love
Yeah,
the
you do?
taste.
Okay. I would definitely come to India and have it the next time round. Wonderful. Thank you, Janavi. Next Tuesday, then, we look at some other sector and look at storytelling and how it has either impacted things well or badly, and how what problem do we solve next.